Well, there was periods of time when in poker I've played with like almost my entire net worth on the table.
Poker players do that kind of shit, though, don't they?
It's stressful. It's crazy. I've had my hair fall out before playing.
Just because you're freaking out?
Just 'cause it's stress, man. You know, like, I mean, there's just so many things that go into it. Like, you're not only thinking about like what that person has, but like what do they think that you think that they have? I mean, the basic stuff is what do you think that they think that you have, and then like the range of hands that they could have. Why would he be betting this? Why would he be calling here? What type of hands could he have? Like, what are the probabilities that he's bluffing? Like, what is his mental state? I mean, like, just trying to pick up on tells. There's just so many things that go into it that you're so focused, and it's so much money, and any little mistake that you make is going to cost you millions of dollars. So it's like that is like a lot, and you're playing for sometimes 16, 17 hours. Like, you're just like delirious. I remember
do you
one
take
time,
anything while you're playing? Do you take like Provigil or Adderall or anything?
I took Adderall, and it really fucked me up because I just like tried to win every hand, and it made me like too aggressive, and I just fucking plane crashed into the mountain. It was terrible.
Oh wow!
So I tried that a couple times. No good. Tried weed, and it fucking was terrible. Every time I was bluffing, I was all paranoid. So no. And then sometimes I'm taking like Valium just so I fucking relax, because I'm just like strung out. But then that makes you kind of not give a fuck, and so you do stupid shit. You just almost got to be sober.
What about beta blockers?
I never tried them.
I never tried them either. But I saw this thing on concert performers, like pianists, or it was actually some people that playing an orchestra. They were talking about they took beta blockers, and it made a massive impact because they were super nervous about performing. And I always thought about it. I was like, man, that's I guess it just stops you from getting nervous. I would be really curious to see what that feels like.
Yeah, no, that'd be interesting. I've definitely heard of that. I think it's a big thing for actors and stuff like that with stage fright or whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I just don't know how long it lasts because, like I said, I mean, these are, you're talking about 18-hour sessions, and it's just like, and also you don't want anything to fuck with your like mental acuity.
Yeah.
So
do you study the game? Do you do like study strategy and read poker books? And
I did. I did back in the day, but back in the day it wasn't quite as advanced. Now they have so much stuff online where you can basically watch these pros play. I'll give you an example. Back when I was playing, I would play in college. I played 10 tables at a time, and you'd
online.
Yeah, and you would see about 100 hands an hour. And let's say I just played for a 10-hour session. So
you're playing 10 tables simultaneously. Mm-hmm. How do you do that? You have like 10 windows open up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So you're going click, 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 all between all of them, and then sometimes you have multiple monitors set up. And so basically, in that period, if you extrapolate that out, that's, you're seeing 10,000 hands, right, in that 10 hours of sessions, because 100 hands an hour per table times, right, so 10 times 100. So if you play in a casino, you're seeing about 20 hands an hour, and you're obviously only playing one table, so that translates to 200 hands for that day. So of one day playing online, I've seen 10,000 hands. One day playing live, I've seen 200. So you can imagine, one day playing online, I've seen more hands than a guy that's played in a casino for his entire life. Whoa. So just think about those, numbers. And so the thing is, like, when you're playing in a casino, exactly.
Look at this picture. Who's that dude?
Elky.
What's his name?
Elky, Elky.
That's his whole name? Was he like Oprah?
I don't know. Really. He's I think he's a Swedish guy or something like that.
And so he's got 4 giant monitors going on.
Exactly. Like, I mean, these guys are playing even more tables. Look at how many they're playing.
That guy's got 12 on each side.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is what it's evolved to. I was like one of the pioneers of this stuff.
Look at this guy. He's got fucking 6 monitors here.
Yeah.
So when you can't do this in America anymore, correct? Like it used to be, you could gamble online.
It stopped. I think Black Friday was in 2009. Was it? Maybe?
That's fucked too. Why not? I mean, why not?
It's total bullshit. I mean, it's a game of skill. Clearly, I mean, they allow the fantasy because it's a game of skill. And yeah, I think it's nonsense. I don't really care because I wouldn't be playing online anymore because I can't compete with these kids. They've just put too much time in it. And the thing is, now there's so much software that does so much for them. Like, for instance, it'll tell you how many hands each person plays pre-flop, what percentage of the time they bet the flop, what percentage of the time they bluff, and they can just figure that out based on like how often they're going to have a hand and how often they bluff. So it'll actually give you their bluff percentages on each street, on the flop, the turn, the river, and it'll tell you like how many times they're just like calling bad. Like, it'll just give you all these stats. So it's almost more turned into like a mathematical computer game, whereas I like the more pure form of just like, I'm looking the guy in the fucking eye and, just trying to figure out what he's got. And, you're also playing the player. Like, when you're playing live, like, for me, I can calculate how much money a guy has very fast. I can figure out like his comfort level with bluffing. I can figure out the type of guy he is, whether or not he's aggressive, whether or not he's the type of guy that when he's winning, he's going to want to lock it up, or the type of guy that when he's winning, he's going to want to gamble more, the type of guy that when he's losing, he's going to kind of play a lot more hands and try and, get even, or the type of guy that's going to just like try and wait for a big hand, the type of guy that's going to be just calling his money, chasing, trying to get lucky, the kind of guy that's going to be pushing the action and betting a lot. Like, there's just so many things that go into it that, I like to just, play live, and I like to talk to people, and I like to, have that human interaction. There's a lot of these guys that are really good behind a computer, but you put them in front of another guy, you can't look a man in the eye and just fucking, bluff. You just like crumble, So online they can click that button and say all in and do these crazy bluffs, but, they just physically can't like push those chips in and keep a straight face on a table. So,
so there's something going on when you're looking at them. There's a certain amount of like I said, I've never played poker, so there is a certain amount of intuition and instinct.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's not like in the movies where it's like, oh, like I picked up a tell on this guy, and every time he bluffs, he twitches, or you know what I mean. Like that's a very rare thing. It's more just like understanding the person. It's like you figure out what kind of job this guy does, like how much money he makes a year, like how much this money means to him, how much he cares about the money, how much he wants to gamble, how much he's playing for fun, how much he wants to win. Some of these guys, they actually want to lose. They're just like self-sabotagers. They'll go in there and like, some of them, I'll see them and they'll want to lose because they'll want everybody at the table to like them, and that's kind of like the path of least resistance. I've seen
really?
It all. I've seen it all.
How do you detect that? Like, how do you detect that a guy wants to lose?
He'll be just like wanting to be friends with everybody, and he'll do shit to show off or to like make. Because I mean, look, at the end of the day, like people want people to play bad, right? Like you want a player to play like shit. You want a player to give his money away. You want a player to do crazy stuff. So these guys will they'll put on a show for people. They'll want to be the popular guy. Maybe they weren't cool in high school. Maybe they want people to like them. Who knows what their reason is? Maybe they feel like they don't deserve the money. I've played with a lot of guys that, some of them ended up in jail. Some of them were frauds. Some of them were cheats. Some of these guys, they have a bunch of money and they feel like they don't deserve it subconsciously. So they'll just want to give it away. It's just like a weird thing.
Oh, that's interesting. And do you see a lot of guys who just lose everything?
I've seen it before, yeah. I've seen guys go completely broke. It's tough because in gambling, you can just keep going up, but you can't really go down. It's like, for instance, if you go and you play blackjack and you bet whatever, arbitrary numbers, $500 a hand, right? And you're playing $500 a hand, and your level of excitement when you win is at a 7, and you keep playing and whatever, and then now you go and play $1,000 a hand, and you've been winning a little bit, or you've been losing or whatever, and now if you try and go back to 500 or 250, it's just like if you're losing, it's just like it's a mental fuck because it's really hard to get even betting smaller. And if you've been winning, you don't really care about the small money, right? Like you want to win more. You know what I'm saying? It's like one of those things where like once you go up, it's really hard to go the other direction. So a lot of the problems that professional poker players have, it's called bankroll management, where they keep going up and up and up. And then when they start losing, they are completely unable to drop down in stakes and then play good. Like if they lost, let's say, $100,000, just use round numbers, at this game, then for them to go to play a game that's half that size and try and win that 100,000 back, it's going to take them twice as much time. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like one of those things where, and the games have gotten bigger and bigger and bigger. So somebody goes on a bad run, like. And poker's their profession. It's not like, that's another thing that people don't understand. It's like, people are like, oh, you're winning. Like you should take the money and run. It's like, no, like when you play poker for a living, like it never ends. Like it's like, yeah, there may be session to session, but like you're always going to be playing poker. So it's like, if that's a good spot, you should just play until the game's over. Like even if you won, it's not like blackjack where you should just lock up a win. Like in poker, you just stay there. And in fact, the more you're winning, the more other people are losing. And the more other people are losing, the worse they're going to play. So it's kind of like one of those things where you just, it's just one long session. It never ends,
How pissed do people get when they lose fuck tons of money? Have you ever had issues with that? Where people get violent or people get angry?
Definitely angry. And it's funny because, and I'm a victim of this too. Like I've found sometimes I've gotten far more angry at losing $20,000 than I have at losing $500,000. As strange as that may sound. Just because, of the way I lost it, or if I played shitty, or if I lost it to a guy I didn't like, or it was just like I lost, and just like a steady progression of losses. Or if I was up a ton of money and then let's say I was up $1 million and ended up losing 20,000, like I'd be fucking miserable, even though I only lost 20 grand. But let's say I was down $1 million and I ended up losing 20,000. I'd be ecstatic. Now look at the end result. One night I won 20 grand and I was miserable, and the other night I lost 20 grand and I was happy. Right?
Yeah.
Because I started off up $1 million and then ended up being a $20,000 winner. Like that seems like $1 million loss to me, because at one point in that game I was up $1 million, right?
Right.
So mentally, I kind of like, in my mind, I've lost $1 million. And then in the other game I was down $1 million and then ended up only losing 20,000. So I almost broke even. So I'm like ecstatic. You know what I'm saying? So there's